Hi lovelies, welcome again to my channel. This is Nicolin and you're joining me here at Underneath Her Skin. We are here celebrating Lupus Awareness Month, and I have with me Miss Nicole Casbar, a lupus warrior who has been chatting with me about life living with lupus. And today we are here, and if you have not been listening to the first videos, please, I will link them to this video so that you will be able to catch up about some of the things that we've talked about before. Also, if you are new, please like, share, and subscribe to Underneath Her Skin so that you will not miss another video. On my channel, I talk to individuals about various challenges that they face and how they are living or dealing with the challenges, whether it's, suppressing it or it's something that's positive. So definitely come on board and be a part of this family. We would definitely love to have you. So we are going to go into part 3 of Living with Lupus. And thank you again, Ms. Casbar, for being my guest today. And I just want you to share with me, what has it been like for you? How has lupus changed your life since you have been diagnosed?
So I was saying that I feel like it's the physical aspect has changed me the most. And it's the part that I recognize in myself the least. Everything that I was known for, everything that made me who I am. I was known for my long hair. Well, now my hair is growing again, but lupus does have a tendency to people lose their hair or have issues with their hair. And finally my hair is growing back, but that was a very big problem before. The fact that I was always out in the sun and always had a great tan, and I was always very physical. I was a dancer. I was very athletic. I was always out walking, outdoors. Like all those things were taken from me. Even something as simple as everybody knew me because I had hundreds of pairs of earrings. I love jewelry, and I can't wear my earrings anymore because every time I put in a pair of earrings, there's something, even no matter what metal it is. I've tried gold, I've tried sterling silver, surgical silver. It doesn't matter. Anything I put in my ears, my body thinks it's something foreign and something bad, and it goes to attack it. A typical autoimmune response. And in doing so, my ears immediately turn bright red, and I get an infection. And it's funny because my doctors have all said that I have a very active disease. So for all those years, it was kind of, oh, well, maybe not. It's nothing. It's something I could brush off. I can't brush this off anymore.
Right.
It's not something I could say, oh, it's nothing, because it's very active and it's very aggressive right now, where it wasn't before. So yeah, no more earrings. Again, this is who made Nicole who she was. I used to wear rings all the time, tons of rings. Can't wear them anymore. My fingers are just, constantly swelling up, and then they get stuck on my hands. And the weight gain alone, I just don't recognize myself. I look in the mirror, it's not something I can change. I can't physically change this. This is due to medication. It's due to the disease, and it's nothing. I do still exercise and I do watch what I eat, but it's medication and the disease, and it's nothing I could do to really change it. And from one day to the next, it'll change.
Right.
One day my son and flat, and the next day I'm bloated beyond belief, and there's nothing that's changed.
Right.
And the same thing with my face. I've kind of reduced a little bit of my prednisone now. And for the first time, I feel cheekbones. I haven't felt this, and I have a little bit of this, but not as much. So I keep going like this. I'm like, ooh, that's the first time I felt my face this small in a while. It's again beyond my control. I can't control it at all. So that's been the hardest for me. And I guess the other thing is just, having everybody accept that this is the new me, and it's gotta do for now.
Have you found that to be a challenge? Like, if you were to meet someone who knew you, in your earlier years, and would see you now. Have you had those experiences where they're like, is this really Nicole, or, you know?
They don't recognize me.
Mm.
They don't. They don't recognize me at all. And when I try to keep myself out of those situations, which is probably not a good thing, but I
Mm.
do. I try to keep myself out of those situations,
It's
and I
understandable.
find, yeah, and I find myself explaining myself if I am in that. I'm like, yeah, I know I look really different, and this is why. And
Okay.
I shouldn't, I probably shouldn't have to do
You
that.
don't have to. No.
Um, but I feel better doing it. I don't want people to think like I let myself go, or what, but
Mhm.
it's funny because I had a friend who kind of, when she first saw me for the first time, she was like, "Oh, I didn't recognize you, but you were right away making an excuse, and you shouldn't do that." She said, because it was obvious that it wasn't that you let yourself go. It was obvious it
Mhm.
was a medical something or
Right.
other. And I don't like people speculating. Like, I don't want
Mhm.
people to be like, "Oh, I wonder what's wrong," kind of thing. I
Mhm.
rather just be upfront and
And
say,
tell.
"Hey, this
Yeah.
is what I have, this is what I'm about,"
Mhm.
and let the gossip and the questions,
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, also you yourself too knows that it's not the you that you would want people to see, you know. So that in itself is something that I can maybe say is why you want to push more to explain what's happening to you in that moment. You know,
Mhm.
lupus is an autoimmune disease that eats away at, you know, it basically fights against your body itself. And so it's very hard to deal with anything based on, you know, what we've been talking about. So I want to ask you. I know that lupus, based on what I've researched, affects women with, you know, with during their childbearing age, which is about 15 to 45. And would you say that is something that you experienced? Do you have children? Have you thought about it? What is that experience like for you?
Excuse me. So, I do not have children. I've never been pregnant. I've always wanted to have children.
Hmm.
I love children, but it was not something that I was willing to go to any extremes for. Like, I wasn't looking into in vitro or anything like that.
Hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I kind of think I always knew something was off.
Okay.
Even though I didn't know I had lupus for the majority of that time, I just knew something was off. Like when I was very young, I think I was like 9 years old, I was experiencing very severe pelvic pain, and I had ovarian cysts even before I had my first period.
Wow.
So, and I had to be put on medication at a very, very young age. And those cysts were just tremendous. I mean, I was very skinny then too, but you could see them when I would lay down flat on my back. They were the size of a grapefruit. So you can actually
Mhm.
see them. And I dealt with a lot of pain with that, as I said, at a very young age. And I always knew something was off. Sometimes I wouldn't get my period because of them. So again, looking back now, that inflammation from those cysts could have been related to lupus, 100%.
Okay.
I didn't know back then. That
Right.
wasn't even a thought process back then.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things when I look back at it. So, the fact that I never got pregnant before is not from lack of trying. It was just more of an issue of,
Your
yeah, my
body.
body just isn't working that way. And yeah, I would have liked it, but it wasn't something I was going to pursue much further than that.
Okay. Thinking now, would you say you regret that decision you made, or you will stand on that decision even today of not
Uh,
pursuing maybe different means of having a child?
I think I think now that I know what I know, I'm glad I made that decision, because physically I don't know if I could have handled, taking care of a child the way I would want to take care of a
Right.
child. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am very lucky that my very long-term relationship, I've been engaged for over 20 years now.
You're
Nothing
practically
like
married.
rushing,
You're
nothing
practically
like
married.
rushing. But he has two children from a previous marriage, and they're both older now. They're in their 30s, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like mine. Well.
Oh,
So I'm really lucky to have them all in my life, and they've been so helpful and so, understanding. And we're close, so that's all good.
That's good, definitely. And I like that you brought that up because I want to talk about support system and what you have, family or immediate family. You mentioned your fiance. How has it been for him? How has he taken this?
He's been fabulous, but I'll he'll be the first one to tell you, especially in the beginning, and even still now, every now and then he's like, I keep forgetting you can't anymore, because he's
Hmm.
so used to how I was
Yeah.
before. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, oh, can you do this and do that? Well, let's do this. And I'm like, but I can't, Billy, but I can't. And,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm like, not right now, or give me a minute. And he's like, I keep forgetting. Because again, it's not who I was. And,
Right.
I always find myself apologizing to him. I'm sorry I can't go out. I'm sorry, I'm so tired or whatever. Because that's one thing I haven't mentioned in all of this is the fatigue is outrageous. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
when that kicks in, it's really bad, and I just can't move, and I feel really bad. I know he doesn't want to be sitting there staring at me, so we come to agreements, and he's been really, really good about it. But just every now and then I have to remind him.
Mm-hmm.
He got a Harley Davidson motorcycle, and now that's his new thing. He goes out on that, and that's when I get my time to myself as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
I'll never go on that. That I'm petrified of.
I can
But then
imagine.
absolutely, but he's been great. He doesn't even notice. Like I apologize for how I look, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even see that. He goes, you're crazy. I don't even see what you see. So
Right.
great. My mother, God bless her, she's 82 years old, and
Mhm.
she runs around more than I ever do.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Absolutely. And she's been very, very helpful. But again, she forgets too sometimes. This
Right.
is not who I was for 40 years of my life. So, but she's been great. My brother, who really depends on me a lot, because as I mentioned
Yes.
earlier, multiple sclerosis, and he is completely dependent on
And someone.
24-hour home care, and he's bedridden. He I was first diagnosed, he was scared.
Mm.
He was scared because not well, I knew he knew I would be okay. He was scared because he depended on me so much, and he felt like he couldn't anymore.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I got you. I got you.
Now the
I'm always
tweeds, right?
whether I'm physically there, not as much,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm making sure his bills are paid, and I'm making
Yeah.
sure that his medications are there and everything is taken care of, with that. So that was a big adjustment. And I have to tell you, people I work with at my job, they've been fabulous. I was told initially, my doctor said, when I was first diagnosed, I said, well, I have to tell my job. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't walking really. Dance, and I wasn't able to walk initially. I mean, now I can, but at that time, I was in really
Right.
bad shape, and I have to tell them. And he's like, no, I don't suggest you do that because you could be discriminated against.
Mm.
And I had worked in the building for a very long time. I knew these people knew me. I knew I was a hard worker. I knew they knew that.
Right.
And I went, my doctor said, and I told them, and they've been fantastic.
Awesome.
The fellow teachers, my co-teachers, whenever, I look like I need help, they jump in to help me.
Yes.
And I help them in doing other things that, I'll like, get rid of some of their paperwork for them if I physically can't get around the way I
Mm-hmm.
needed to. So it's like a, give and take. My principal's been fabulous, and they've been really, really good. So I'm lucky because I know a lot of people don't have that,
Yes.
and I definitely do. And my cousins are nurses,
Good.
so that's always helpful. Run things by them every now and then.
Yeah. It's
So
definitely good that all around, and you expect family to be there, immediate or extended, and it's good even to have your job coworkers who are knowledgeable of the challenges that you face. And I think it's good to let them know, because you're having a bad day. You want to be able to call on somebody and say, listen, I'm feeling this way. Can you step in? You know, so
Right.
I'm blessed likewise to be in a community at my job. I do work in a school as well. So I think it's great when you can share your challenges and feel like they help lift you when you're feeling down to some extent. Um,
Even my students, I've kind of told my students, not a lot, I don't want them to get worried or anything, but I tell them because, prior to the pandemic, I was still having issues with constantly getting sick. Every
mhm,
time a student,
mhm,
every cold that went around the classroom, every, little infection I got because I'm on so
yeah.
many immunosuppressants. So,
Mhm,
I had to tell these kids like, hey, listen, if I'm not moving too well or whatever, I explain what lupus is. I explain to them it's, what an autoimmune disease is. And I tell them like, listen, guys, when you're sick, you cannot be in my space. You can't be here. You can't be touching my things because every time you guys have a little germ that doesn't affect you, it makes me
mhm.
really sick for days at a time. And by explaining that to them, then they understood,
Understand. Yeah.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I would
And
do?
then,
I would probably have them all do a report on lupus, because that
yeah,
would,
well, like science,
yes,
yeah.
that would definitely
Absolutely.
open their eyes and be able to share and spread more awareness that way as well.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's really important. Like, by making them aware at least, there's less speculation and less
Hmm.
gossip that goes
Absolutely, right. Especially on days when you may have to be out, they would, you know what, we understand. You know,
on. Yep.
so yes. So one of the other challenges that I've read about is like, some people may get to when you have lupus, as we mentioned before, like it comes with additional challenges. And I wanted to find out from you, have you ever been on dialysis or had to have any operations or, medical, beyond taking the medications because of lupus?
Luck- I'm sorry. Yeah. Luckily, no, I haven't had to do any of that yet. And hopefully I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there has, for me right now, there hasn't been any kidney involvement. So the only issues I've had is I've had kidney stones, many of those, but
Mm-hmm.
that necessarily been linked to lupus. That is another, I think, genetic thing in my family, though. And in terms of surgery, actually, we've avoided as much as possible. I only had knee surgery many years ago, and it's funny looking back at it. It may have been lupus related, but it was a dislocated knee that wouldn't go back in its socket.
Okay.
So surgically done, but that was it.
Okay. Well, definitely thank
Mhm.
you for sharing. I read that, other people suffer from kidney failure. Some people may need a kidney transplant. So I thought, we can touch on that. But thank you so much for sharing your journey. And we're here today talking about lupus and how lupus affects each individual. And I know lupus, the healthy cells and tissues are affecting your own body because it feels like they identify them as foreign. And that is why it is so difficult for people like Ms. Casbar to live what is considered a normal life. So the things that we may take for granted, such as going out in the sun and doing a regular day-to-day activity, is really challenging and can be difficult for individuals with lupus. So we are here today. It's May, and May is the month that we celebrate lupus. So we're here today spreading awareness. Please, if you have been watching, like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you have anything that you would like to share, or any challenges that you have experienced, or if you have been just thinking about what you may be going through. And this video was able to shed some insight in you saying, you know what, I need to go talk to my doctor because this may be what I've been experiencing. So definitely continue to like, share, and subscribe and be a part of this family. And we will see you in the next video. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Ms. Kaslar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.